All right, thank you, Paige. So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Fort Bend Chamber Commerce. Oh my God, I can't talk right now. Welcome to the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce's and webinar hosted by the Chamber Young Professionals Division. I wanted to thank you guys for taking the time to participate in this event. Thank all my panelists as well as my moderator. And the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce is the only 5-star accredited chamber in the greater Houston region, and as such, advocates for the excellence in Fort Bend County and beyond. Before we get started today, I wanted to recognize our sponsor for this webinar, Newmark Homes. We actually have 2 people on here from Newmark Homes right now, and we have Stephen Fuentes and Melissa. And Stephen, would you like to say a few words to our attendees?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm hoping y'all get a lot of information out of this that's valuable to take into your home purchase. If we give you some valuable information and you want to look into Newmark Homes, of course, reach out to me over here in Siena.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Newmark Homes, for your generosity and your support of the Chamber. Before I introduce our moderator and panelist, I want to tell everyone in the audience about the chat feature. I'm sure you guys are all well aware of it now, and as we've been operating, a lot of us on Zoom for quite some time here the past few months. But at the bottom of your screen, there's going to be a little chat box. So if you guys have any questions for any of our panelists and any questions regarding in this presentation, just feel free to type them there at the bottom of the screen. And we'll of course address those questions after the panelists conclude and our questioning and presentation. So at this time, I have the privilege of introducing our moderator and panelist. Our moderator today is Tammy McCall. Tammy McCall is employed by Johnson Development and serves as the Realtor Relations Extraordinaire and for a bunch of their communities. I have them a little list right here, so I'm going to list off the communities real quick. So we have Cross Creek Ranch, Jordan Ranch, Willow Creek Farms, Harvest Green, Veranda, Imperial, Riverstone, Siena, Tuscan Lakes, and Edgewater. As Realtor Relations Extraordinaire, Tammy networks with realtors and to provide exposure to each of these Johnson Development communities. Our awesome panelists today include Stephen Fuentes with Newmark Homes, Nimesh Patel with Remax Fine Properties, and Nina Pradia with Houston Federal Credit Union. So starting with Nina. Nina is a senior residential mortgage loan originator at Houston Federal Credit Union. Her primary responsibility for the past 2 years has been to assist with the launch of HFCU's in-house mortgage department. Nina has started her career in banking and has over 15 years of experience in consumer lending and financial services. The second phase of her career has been in the mortgage industry as a mortgage loan originator. She has a passion about educating and informing her members of the most viable loan options for their financial needs. We also have Nimesh Patel. Nimesh Patel is the broker, owner, and managing partner of Remax Fine Properties and leader of the Nimesh Patel Group. Nimesh has been distinguished locally, statewide, and nationally for his accomplishments in selling real estate and successfully operating the single largest firm in the state of Texas. Nimesh has been in the real estate industry since 2002 and has since risen Remax Fine Properties to the #1 Remax office in transaction volume in Texas and Houston. Nimesh was also awarded Broker Owner of the Year statewide in both 2011 and 2014. And last but certainly not least, we have Stephen Fuentes. Stephen Fuentes has 6+ years experience in the new construction sales. He started with Newmark Homes in April of 2018, and his strengths are customer-centered, up-to-date technology to provide the best customer experience, realtor relations, and social media awareness. Thank you guys all for joining us today and providing your experience to all of us that are dying to know about and buying our first house. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our moderator, Tammy, and she's going to take it from here.
All right. Yes, I'm in charge now, you guys. Hey, Melissa, nice to see you with Newmark Homes. So the first question is really open to all panelists, but I'm going to start with you, Nimesh, just so that we get somebody rolling on my question here. But what is a good time frame for young professionals to think about the house buying journey? And is there a checklist that they should be following?
That's a loaded question, but I'll tell you right now, I think it's always a good time to be thinking about it right away. You know, the checklist is fairly simple. You call a real estate agent, a real estate professional, and then let the real estate professional kind of go through the whole process for you. You know, from your finances to your obligations to your debts to what you're looking for in the future, what kind of interest rates there are out there, what type of housing is available, whether it's new construction or resales. And as you go through that whole process with the real estate professional, you then will make that decision as a young professional to decide, okay, I'm ready in 6 months, I'm ready right now, I'm ready 2 years from now. But the sooner you have that conversation, the better it is for you. Ultimately, that's my opinion.
Thank you, Nimesh. Does anybody else have anything to offer? Because he pretty much segued right into the second question, which, you know, is what should you do first? Should you become pre-approved? Things like that. So if anybody wants to kind of back up his response or have anything to offer, please feel free to. Stephen?
So as a loan officer, I do like to see my members or customers probably 6 to 8 months before their purchase so that I can ensure that they're going to have an easy transition through their loan process, meaning that their credit scores, their debt to income are all in line. So, but if you are, you know, a very educated buyer, you may have that under control, and 3 months will suffice pre-approval, and you just start looking.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Nina. Stephen, here's a question for you specifically. What should somebody look for when they are working with a home builder?
For sure, I think when you're looking for a home builder, you want to look for, you know, the floor plan and the reputation that they hold. And then from there, kind of start going around to what locations that home builder is actually in. If it's something that's close to you, then great, you know, or if you're willing to make that extra commute for the home builder of your choice, then, you know, then that's where you'll start your journey on, you know, looking for the floor plan, looking for the communities that they're located in, especially if you want to be with that specific home builder.
Perfect. Thank you. Nimesh, kind of the same question, but it goes for how do they, or what do they look for when they're looking for a good real estate agent?
Well, you definitely want to trust your real estate agent because you're making the largest purchase of your life, pretty much, right? Every time you're buying a house, that is the largest investment you're ever going to make until you make the next one. And so you definitely want to have somebody that's completely trustworthy. Typically, you know, to find that, you want to look around the neighborhoods that you're in or in the areas that you want to be looking for. And you want to see who's done some business in those areas. And then definitely look to see if you get some good referrals from that, or that you have some good, I'm drawing a blank here, but basically you want to make sure that they're trustworthy. That's the most important thing to me. Ultimately, in the real estate game, you can find out information, especially this day and age where things are a lot easier to find online. You can get a lot of information out there, but who's going to hold your hand through the process? Who are you going to trust to take you to the right builder like Stephen Fuentes, or help you with talking to Nina, getting pre-approved, and then helping you understand that, hey, what she's trying to get you is the right thing or the right product for you versus this other product that somebody else is trying to get you in just so they can make some money.
Absolutely. And what I'm hearing here is trust is huge. You have to build the trust.
Ultimately, that's the ultimate thing, because ultimately, when I tell anybody anything, I tell them, I'm not here to force you to buy a house. I'm not here to help force you to sell a house. You're going to make that decision yourself. But what I'm here to do is make sure, one, I hold your hand through the whole process, but two, that I give you all the options that are available, that I give you all the right information so that you can make that decision for yourself and your family.
Perfect. Thank you. Nina, I'm going to direct my next question to you. What advice would you give someone to calculate how much of a mortgage that they can afford?
First, I feel that is a two-part question. So typically lenders like to see below 43%, I'm sorry, debt to income, better known as DTI. But what I like to ask my clients is what is affordable for them. Although on paper, I may be able to qualify them for a $2,500 payment, but are they comfortable with that $2,500 payment? With that being said, I mean, they may have hobbies, or they may love to travel. And so those things do play into your monthly expenses. So I do factor that in. So long story short, the best way to start initially is to take your total monthly debts on your credit report and divide them by your gross monthly income. So that ratio will give you, 42, 43%. Also, what I do when I'm doing the initial pre-qual is also include the projected monthly payment that they will incur based on what sales point that they're looking at and how much they're putting down. So in answer to your question, I guess the most important thing to me is what is their comfort level monthly? And then we back into the number that way.
Absolutely. And I think you kind of touched on the pre-qualification a little bit in your response there, but if you want to offer any more, of course, feel free to. But also during that process, when they're trying to get pre-approved, what should they never do? Is there anything specifically that you discourage buyers from doing during that pre-qualification time period?
Sure. Most definitely not making any large purchases. Do not co-sign or guarantee any loans for anyone. Do not make any late payments, and continue to save.
Very good answers. I hear from realtors all the time about, oh my God, right before closing, they went and bought a car or something, so, not a good thing. Good advice there, Nina.
Can I jump in on that, Tammy?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. What I tell all my clients, you're not allowed to even purchase anything without talking to Nina. That's what I literally would say. If you need to go purchase anything from any store, you need to call Nina and make sure she says it's okay. I don't care what credit card you're putting it on or how much it is or what financing the store is offering you. If Nina says it's okay, you're allowed to do it. If not, do not do it. And then don't come to me if something goes wrong.
Right.
Very good advice. Yes, I heard all the nightmares out there. So Nimesh and Stephen, are there any national or state programs that exist for first-time home buyers? And if so, how do you evaluate which ones your buyers might be eligible for?
Well, as far as, I'm sure there are programs out there, and I know there are for first-time home buyers. That kind of question I would typically leave for someone like Nina and the loan officers to kind of go through on what programs that they are eligible for, that they qualify for as a down payment assistance, maybe first-time home buyer, or any of the programs that are out there, VAs and everything. What we would probably gear more things on is leaning on our marketing team to promote something on for first-time home buyers, or anything just to give them extra incentive of what we're already offering to the full entire public. So that's where the new home builder would kind of push out that promotion.
I agree with you on that, Stephen. That's definitely a job for Nina and her colleagues. They will keep us informed as realtors, and as realtors, we do know which ones are out there, which ones are not, whether it's down payment assistance, whether it's first-time home buyers. But as you guys have all seen with the environment that we're in, so many different programs have been shut down, so many programs are starting to come back, and that's where we lean heavily on our lenders to let us know what's opening up, what's not. And at that point, we decide together between the lender, myself, and the client, which is the best program for them. But definitely through the years, we've had first-time homebuyers assistance, things like that as well, for sure. And then going back to what Stephen said, it is kind of nice when some of these builders like Newmark, they do come in and say, okay, hey, for first-time homebuyers, we're going to give some of these appliance packages, or we're going to give this kind of a package or something like that to add on to whatever package that they have. So as a realtor, we need to stay informed with our lender and with our builder partners to see what we can offer our first-time homebuyers.
Okay, great. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. Nina, a question for you is, should a home buyer get a fixed rate or an adjustable rate mortgage, or how do you give that advice to your buyers?
Well, as it pertains to first-time home buyers, I probably would stray away from encouraging an adjustable rate because there is a certain level of risk once that rate adjusts. And so with that being said, rates are very low now, so there's really no reason not to get a fixed rate. It's less risk, and there's no surprises during the term of the loan as far as interest rates moving.
No, that's great information as well. Also, can you elaborate a little bit or tell us what a PMI is, or a mortgage points?
Yes, PMI protects the lender for the 20% portion of the loan. So if you have a borrower who is not putting 20% down, typically, well, they will always have to pay mortgage insurance. So with that being said, the private mortgage insurance companies, as it pertains to conventional loans, are looking at your credit score. They're looking at your debt to income and credit score, debt to income. And so those are the risk factors that basically determines what premium you will get monthly. So the higher your score and the lower your debt to income, the more affordable your monthly mortgage insurance payment will be. So it's very important to keep your score high and your debt to income low.
Okay, great. And to kind of go into the next question about their, whenever they're getting a home, their credit score. So if they're, what should their credit score be first? But secondly, if it's not where it should be, how do you educate or help them to get it where it needs to be?
In answer to your first question, your credit score can be a 620. However, once again, going back to the PMI, that PMI is going to be based on that score, so it's going to be extremely high as it pertains to a conventional loan. But also there are other loan products out there that may assist with that higher payment. You may have to go to an FHA loan, which is, not a bad thing. It just depends on your financial needs and situation based on your credit score. So let's see, you asked me about the private mortgage. Did I answer your question about the private?
You answered the question. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, wait, let me continue. Okay, I'm so sorry. So that is the minimum score, but the perfect score to get the best rate and to get the best mortgage premium would be about a 620.
Okay. Okay, great.
So, and then also you asked me one last thing, what would I do? I would highly encourage you to focus on your usage and reducing it to below 30% of your credit limit.
Okay, good. Yeah, I kind of forgot I asked that part too. Thank you.
That's okay.
Okay, Nimesh, this one's more for you. When people are looking for homes, and this probably applies more to resale homes, what should they be looking for or being aware of, like roof problems, etc.?
So talking about resale homes, right?
Yes.
Well, you have to understand the whole process, right? If we're going through resales, we're going through an option period, we're going through an inspection phase, we're going to do all of that. But again, this is also why it's so important to have a trustworthy and experienced agent at your side. You can look at a lot of these problems before you even get into a contract to be able to say, hey, I can walk into any house and I can tell you this roof is going to be going soon, or this roof has some life in it, right? We just for example, by the way, for all you new guys or new home buyers, a seller has to do a seller's disclosure. So before you move forward on any type of house, you want to be able to look at the seller's disclosure, see how old the roof is, how old the plumbing is, how, what's going on with the house. They have to disclose whatever they do know of what's going on with the house. So that you already have that ammunition in front of you. But two, you have an experienced agent that's looking at a house with you. They can tell you that, hey, here's where we are. So the market value might dictate a certain price, but the quality of this house or the condition of this house doesn't dictate that. So we want to get in that. Now, if we still love the house, we love the location, we know that there are some issues that might arise from this, then we make our offer accordingly. And then you also know that we have a way to back out of the house because we have you negotiate into the contract an option period to be able to take yourself out of the house and not be committed to that house too.
Very good information, because I'm not sure a lot of new buyers know that exists and that there is something that kind of protects them as well.
Yeah, the whole thing is that everything is negotiable, but if you have the right negotiation techniques in there, you want to protect your buyer as much as you can, and especially first-time home buyers, where you can tend to get a little scared of the unknown. You definitely want to make sure you have all your different protections to be able to get yourself out of the contract and not lose money.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. And then also, you know, just as a reminder to everybody that is listening out there, you know, put your questions in the chat box because we are going to be covering those at the end. Okay, Stephen, for you on new homes, how long on average does the process usually take and what warranties typically come with a new home with Newmark specifically, because that's where you're coming from?
Okay. Well, kind of just on the opposite side of what Nimesh was talking about from the resale, you know, looking at roofing and everything else, the new home construction is going to be lined up to giving that customer, you know, the peace of mind of the warranties. Your warranties with Newmark Homes is going to be your 1 year with your builder, Newmark Homes, from it's like more of a bumper to bumper. We highly, you know, recommend that customers take advantage of those warranty repairs throughout. If anything does go on, I mean, all these homes are obviously man-made, so there could be slight little errors, but you have that safety net of knowing that the builder is going to be there with you as the home is getting through that first year and really settling in. After that, you're going to have your 2-year mechanicals. That's anything hidden behind the walls, your electrical, your plumbing, and then you'll have your 10-year structural warranty. All of that is just giving that first-time home buyer like that that reassurance that someone's going to be there for you, and you're not buying into a problem that you have to fix. These are going to be things that are going to be set up for the customer for the long run. What they should look for time range, I mean, they could be possibly purchasing anything just like in resale and closing within 30 days. Or they could be in with us for the long run and building from the ground up and going through the whole process of the selections at the design center, getting that full out experience to all the walks that we go through with the builder. So I would say anywhere from, you know, ready, completed home 30 days up to, you know, 6 or 7 months, depending on how big or large that first home is going to be. Maybe even more than 7 months if their first home is going to be very, very large.
Great, very good, thank you. And what about major energy saving features of a home? Do you guys have those with Newmark?
Oh, for sure. I mean, the best way I try to tell my clients on, you know, home features that are going to be energy efficient, it's like these cell phones. You know, you don't have a cell phone that's more than 2 years old because the technology is constantly changing. Same thing with new home construction. We just recently went from the fiberglass insulation that's in the walls and the blown in into the roofing and everything to the full out foam home, which is all sprayed into the exterior walls and the roofing rafters, which is given a real airtight seal. That's one of the new ways we've already improved at Newmark Homes, and that's a standard construction material that we use on all of our homes, including tankless water heaters, your double pane windows, dual stage AC units. All these things just come together in our home buying energy saving. We're actually classified under homes for living, and you know, that all comes together to saving your customer that much more money on your energy, because we already know we got the full mortgage. Your energy is going to start playing a factor into your monthly costs as well.
Okay.
Hey, to piggyback off of that, what Nina said before is that when you're looking to qualify, especially a new home buyer, you're looking at their monthly payments. And you want to know everything, whether it comes from HOA dues eventually. You want to know your monthly costs. And like what Steven said, you want to know your costs as far as electricity. I'll tell you right now, I can go to a resale home for about 10, 15 years old, which doesn't seem that old to me. And then I can go take my client to Steven's houses over at Newmark, and they will save at the very least, they will save about $150 a month on electric cost, at the very least. Wow. Sometimes it's a couple of $100, like $200 to $300 of savings, just because of the energy features that these type of builders are doing.
Okay, very good. Good to know. Nimesh, whenever selecting a neighborhood with your buyers, what kind of research has to go into that?
Selecting a neighborhood, typically we have some, you know, when I do a buyer's consultation, I definitely want to have some questions in mind. And a couple of them are, hey, why are we buying a new house, and what are our goals? And some of our goals are typically they're usually because of school, right? So if you're starting a family or you have a family already and you want to know about schooling, so we definitely want to check out what the schoolings are like, what scores there are, and where they're going from elementary, junior to high school. Are there plans for future schools to come? Things like that. And that's the first thing that we definitely want to take a look at. After that, then it's more about the vicinity to whether it's the proximity to their work, whether it's to their parents or friends, things like that. And then after that, it's also what knowledge I can provide to them from these developers, such as Johnson. Hey, these are all the amenities that come with this neighborhood. Not just a swimming pool, but a workout facility or all these trails and parks. So as soon as me as a realtor, I understand what your wants and needs are, because there are some people that, hey, I don't care about parks. Okay, great. Well, then what do we care about? We need to find out what you really care about, and then we can go look for that type of neighborhood.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Also, I was just going to mention, I really like that cutout friend of yours behind you.
She's the best. She is definitely the best. If you don't know her, come on down to my office. I'll introduce you to her. But hey, let me jump in on something else too. Apparently, we have some questions on the chat. By the way, I don't know if we've seen those, and I think some of those are aimed at Nina and Stephen. I'll answer this. Stephen Gates asked, "Should you get an inspection on a newly built home when buying a new construction home? Why do I need a realtor?" Those are two really good questions right there. I'll go ahead and ask. I'll say this. Like Stephen said, all houses are man-made, so you're always going to find something. In fact, the good builders like Newmark, they actually welcome an inspection because they have their processes, they have their inspections, they have the city and all that coming through and all that, but they're always going to miss something. Everybody's going to miss something. They're man-made homes with quite a few different people coming into your home, so you always get an inspection done. And for peace of mind, if not for anything else. And the way that they have their processes set up, you're going to do a walkthrough of your house. You're going to look at some cosmetic things that might need to be addressed. And at the same time, you're going to address some of the things. For example, the air conditioning has been running for months now as far as people coming in and out of your house. We want to make sure that when you get your house now, the AC is going to be just perfect. And if not, then they can go ahead and get it settled properly. So always do a new construction inspection, no matter what. You never know what's behind the walls or what something that was missed. And builders do welcome that, right, Stephen?
Definitely, for sure. I do coach my customers on knowing that our homes do go under a full strenuous inspection of our home from a company called DPIS, and they go through all their stages. But it's always just, again, another peace of mind to have a third party inspector from whoever it is that they might choose to go in and inspect the home. I'm never afraid of an inspector to come on in. I mean, we welcome them. Like you said, they're going to give them a sheet of maybe 5 pages, 10 pages, whatever it might be, just to justify, oh, we did our job and everything. And they're mostly cosmetic. They're things that we can fix in a matter of a couple of days and get going. But again, we always reassure them, like, hey, after this inspection is done, you still have that first year warranty with us as well to get anything done in that middle time frame. Right.
And then when you look at it also, the other way I also say is that, hey guys, you're buying your investment of $200, $300, $400, $500,000. What's $500 to spend on that investment for an inspection, right? So definitely get an inspection done. And another question here says, when buying a new construction home, why do I need a realtor? Ooh, I love that question.
I was wondering when that one was going to come up.
Yeah, that's a good one. And Stephen, I'll let you get my back on this one here in a minute, but I'll tell you right now, you need a realtor because you need to know if you're getting into the right neighborhood, you're getting into the right new construction, depending on the builder, which builder it is. Somebody that has knowledge, but then also going through the process, because getting new construction doesn't mean that it's just a ready-made home only. That's inventory homes. And yes, we definitely help on that, just like on a resale. But going through the whole process from drawing up the contract to the actual walkthroughs, the inspections, the builder meetings, and then going through the whole process of the mortgage and insurance and all that, it's the same thing. You definitely want a realtor. And I'll tell you right now, the good builders, with or without a realtor, the house is still the same price. So why would you not take advantage of getting free service from a professional to help you through the process? And ultimately, I love Newmark, I love Stephen Fuentes, but he does represent the builder. He is the builder. and you need representation for your side. And then the last part I'll say on that is negotiation techniques. All right, we know what we can get your houses down to. So too many new people fall for the whole, hey, our house was 500 or our house was 400,000. We've taken $25,000 off. You get yourself a good deal. That's not always the case. We can always come in there and help you say, hey, even though they're giving you 25 off, we could probably get another 15 or 25 off because we know what the market is dictating in this area.
Very good. Thank you both for that. That was great information. Also, what hidden fees? This is for any of you to answer, but you know, new home buyers don't necessarily know what all the fees are anyway. And I don't know that hidden is maybe the right term, but what fees will they maybe not realize they're going to have when buying a home?
I would say, what's the best way to say this? If there's some hidden fees, it goes back to the beginning when Nimesh was talking about, you know, having someone that you trust and everything else, being transparent between me, the salesperson, Nimesh on the agent side for the representation, and Nita on the loan amount side and those estimates. There shouldn't be any hidden fees in my head. I mean, as far as I'm trying to go, I'm giving them all the estimates that I can on what's going to be required from them here. And it takes us all kind of giving the buyer the information that they need. So I wouldn't see if someone's getting any kind of hidden fees. Now, maybe it was one of those, I didn't hear about that, or I don't remember that. That might come as a surprise to them. But I think we all three come together and do a very good job of letting the buyer know what to expect. So that setting that expectation so it doesn't come up to them like, you didn't tell me this. That's one of the worst things I hate to hear, because I know over my years, my presentation goes A through Z, and I hit all of my points. May not have remembered it, but it shouldn't be a hidden fee.
Great answer, Stephen. Great answer. And that's why Nina's so important in this process of showing you. I mean, she'll go through the whole process as far as from the closing parts of it, but then also she's doing that on one side. I, as a realtor, need to let her know that, hey, we're looking in this neighborhood over here. So here's what the HOA dues are. Here's what a capitalization fee or a foundation fee is going to be in this particular neighborhood. Things like that she might not know. I have to do that. So working as a team between all three of us definitely is, you shouldn't have any kind of hidden fees anywhere.
Very good. That's kind of what I expected you guys to say. Nina, I'm going to jump to you just because it kind of goes along with what we're talking about, but how much do you suggest that someone puts down for a down payment, and what can one do if their down payment is less than 10% and avoid costly mortgage loan fees?
Costly loan. Okay, so down payment is strictly as it pertains to the consumer's financial situation. I suggest 5% minimum, although there are certain cases where maybe one is not able to save the 5%, maybe they only have 3%. So with that being said, I'm always aware of that. But if at all possible, I would say 5%, because two things: it puts you in a better position to get a better rate. Of course, if your credit score is, I would say 720 and above. It also gives you a better monthly private mortgage monthly payment, which all plays into the total cost of your monthly mortgage. So
yeah, that pretty much answered both of those questions. Yeah, I shouldn't have thrown them both at you at once. Sorry, they just kind of went together. So, but you did,
okay.
You did answer them. Thank you. Okay, we're going to go back a little bit here. When buying, this is Nimesh and Stephen, I think more. When buying or building in the greater Houston area, we all know that flooding can be an issue in some parts. What do you suggest to new home buyers or, you know, to do their research for area that flood, or, you know, do you kind of do that for them? Nimesh, I guess on this one.
Absolutely. I do that for them. I definitely do that for them, but I also want them to understand the process. So I'm not here to just say, hey, take my word for it. I'm going to do that for them. I'm going to let them know where flooding areas are, where there aren't. Obviously, it comes with experience with, you know, some of the areas that we knew that flooded and which ones didn't. But ultimately, what I also do is I set them up with my insurance company. And so my insurance company then will go ahead and pull out the FEMA maps and let us know which areas that we're looking in are in floodplains, or what type of floodplains they're in, and what type of insurance there is. Now, typically right now, what we're selling in some of these master plan communities that, Johnson has, or where Stephen is with Newmark, even if I know that they're not, I still walk in and I will go ahead and hey, Stephen, I need you to answer this for my client right there in front of us. Are you in a floodplain or not? And they have to disclose all of that as well. And so it kind of reiterates what he says to what I said to what my insurance company said.
Very good, thank you. Will a new home buyer have to pay closing fees? Stephen, Nimesh?
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yes.
There's always closing fees, but this is also where, and that's a great question, because you want to know, hey, how much you have to pay. There's not a set fee. It's not $2,000, $5,000. That's why it's so important that when we go through this process as a first-time home buyer, that we go through all the different product lines that are available from your lender. And, I'm sitting there with Nina saying, hey, look, these guys really only have $5,000 saved up before they have to dip into their savings, right? So then she can then cater the loan that way. She can cater a certain program to them. We can roll closing costs in a certain way, certain times, depending on what their credit and what their whole situation is. So ultimately, I know I keep saying this, but ultimately, the bottom line is this: you need to speak to a professional that understands your whole situation. You got to be honest as possible about your whole situation so that we can cater towards that. So there's no one size fits all that, okay, you're going to have $3,000 of closing costs and this is it. It's, hey, depending on what kind of loan you have, what kind of down payment you have, what kind of credit score you have, it's gonna vary. And if we can't make that work, then let's find the right product that does make it work, or whether we need a seller's assistance, or whether we need on a resale side, or whether we need the builder to pay in a little bit more this way. Those are the things that if we are honest from the beginning, then we can disclose all that right off the bat, and then we know that we can move forward and have a happier home search.
Just
I think
why you want to have a professional helping you. Yes, Nina.
correct. I think the closing cost is probably one of those things that a first-time home buyer will find as one of those surprising things that they didn't know about. I don't know how many times I get a first-time home buyer that's so excited, like, I saved up and I have my down payment. And as we start working through it, I'm trying my best to ease my way. I'm like, okay, after your down payment, have you gotten ready for your closing costs? And that does sometimes hit them with a surprise. Like, what do you mean closing costs? I have the down payment for the home. So it does come back to us educating them and everything. And like he was saying, like knowing their finances, getting them pre-qualified to know where they are. One of the best things I think about new home construction is we're very, bendable in giving you that time frame of coming up with more cash to close. Because it's not a completed home most of the time. We are building it, and we have deposit schedules that they can set, and they can start putting away money. And then they also have, about a 6-month time period to put other money away and start saving. So yeah, I mean, there's closing fees, and then again, depending on how what Nimesh said, you're working with Newmark Homes, how we all end up talking and negotiating. The builder will end up, doing the best that they can to help provide that customer with some closing assistance as well.
So Tammy, in regards to the closing costs, I think a lot of people, that term is kind of used loosely, and they're not aware that it's inclusive of lender fees and title fees, and also a part of escrows. So I think the borrower is somewhat shocked, especially when they're purchasing around this time of the year, how much they actually have to set in escrow to accommodate paying their taxes in December. So I think that might be a surprise, but lender fees are pretty competitive, I'm sure, these days. No more 1% origination or anything like that. But when I'm pre-qualifying a client, I'm always setting up the escrow that I project for the time frame in which they're closing. So they have a true picture of what they're going to actually have to put in escrow, meaning they're two-month cushion for homeowners insurance, maybe 3 months cushion for their taxes, plus the amount that's necessary to make sure that we have enough in December to pay their taxes.
Very good. Yeah, that's all really good information. And to kind of go with that, what type of insurance coverage do they need to get? Do you guys walk them through that when you're going through the new home process, that they understand exactly what's needed? I think, Nimesh, you mentioned you get them connected with your insurance person.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's part of one of the costs, right? Even if you're paying your insurance, insurance once a year, I want you to understand what that means to you monthly, and that's why whenever I have a lender like Nina give me a breakdown for them, I tell them to go ahead and break that down monthly so they understand what that cost is. As far as what they need to cover, we can shop it around, but every insurance company is going to shop it around a certain way, and then I help them break it down to find out, do they need this much in insurance? You know, I remember this one house that is about $300,000. They were doing personal insurance in there for about $250,000, and my client comes to me and says, I don't have $250,000 worth of stuff in my house. I don't need to cover that. Great. Well, it's fine. Then we can lower that, and it helps you lower your cost, right? Ultimately, the lender is going to want to see a certain amount covered for the rebuilding of a house if it gets broken down. So they work closely together to make sure that happens. But it's back to the whole education process, right? You know, and whether it's new construction too, right? With new construction, same thing. You're going to probably have a better luck with new construction when it comes to insurance. So we're not worrying about the age of the roof or the age of the AC and things like that, you know? So.
And as far as our insurance goes, I mean, I'm not going to want to sit here and tell you I know things about insurance, but again, I leave it to the professionals, just like I would with the loan officer. We have Firemark insurance that they give them a call, give them a free quote. But the good thing that I let them know on the insurance part is, if you go with certain people as far as it's new construction, they sometimes offer a new construction discount for their insurance versus a resale. So there are some other things there that the first-time home buyer may not be aware of. With the builder, they usually have, you know, an insurance person in mind that can give them a better, you know, program and rates for their insurance, seen as it's new construction.
Yeah.
Very good. And I like that cup you have behind you there. Where do I get one of those water bottles there?
Oh, this old thing?
Yeah.
That old thing, man. These are here. They're in Siena. You want to come grab one? I'll get one delivered to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Nimesh, here's a
I
question
need one of
about,
those.
oh, what did you say?
No, I said I need one of those too, but.
You mean you haven't even gotten one? Wow. Nimesh, this is more about a resale home. So if a house has been on the market for quite a while, does that mean there's a problem with it? Should that home be avoided?
I'm sorry, you cut out there,
Okay.
Tammy.
If a house has been on the market for a long time, does that mean there's a problem with that house? Should you just try to avoid that home completely?
I wouldn't avoid it completely. What I would do is I would do my research on it right away. So typically, if a house has been sitting on the market for a long, long time, the first and foremost thing that I would assume is that it's priced incorrectly, right? You know, because we get exposure, and then after that, if a house doesn't sell, it's usually the price. Then if it's exactly in the neighborhood that we're looking for, if it's a typical, you know, from the pictures we're looking at, it looks exactly like the one that we want, then it's going to be the price more than likely. So we'll do some, I'll do some calculations. I'll go ahead and do a market analysis on it and come back to my buyer and say, hey, look, I think it's overpriced by $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. That's why it hasn't sold. Then I'll probably have a conversation with the other agent and say, hey, why are you so overpriced? Is it worth for us to come in there and look at it and maybe put in an offer if we like it for a lower amount? So, you know, there's some education that needs to be done on that. And then if it's not the price, then it could be other things. So that's why we go ahead and pull up a seller's disclosure, take a look at it from the inside and find out. And also I still have the conversation with the agent. Hey, why is your house on the market? Sometimes they'll share some things with me. Like, for example, oh, it's had foundation problems and we can't fix it. Okay, well then that's an issue for us. Or, hey, we had a fire in here 5 years ago and we already redid everything. Everything's fine, but there's a stigma of there was a fire in it. So the more information I can find out ahead of time, the better it is for my client that I can give them right off the bat. And then jumping into something else really quick, sorry, Tammy. Deborah Drake wrote on our chat, the foundation or recoupment fee may have been disclosed during the purchase. However, by the time the owner wants to sell the property, they find out that there's a percentage of the proceeds that must be paid to the development. Is there a way to make this more profound at the original closing? So I do know this, and hopefully this answers your question. When we go into some of these communities that are master plan communities that are just, nicely done and they have these type of fees, builder like Stephen Fuentes will disclose that up front to us as part of our, hey, these are some of our costs. So we'll add that in there. If we're selling a house, I will make sure that my seller knows ahead of time that, hey, here's your cost at closing. I'll go ahead and drop a mock closing for them with all these purchases or all these fees included, from title to lender to foundation fees or recoupment fees, whatever we want to call them, capitalization fees. All of that's in there. So, I mean, again, I do as best I can to educate my people ahead of time so that when they come to the closing table, like I love at the closing table when my client says, oh, you were wrong. You were off by $4. I'm like, oh, my bad, So, not $10,000 or $14,000, but $4. I mean, okay, that's my fault, so.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, that's good. Since I think we're about out of time, we're going to come back to the chat box, I think, here in a minute and hit some other questions that may have been asked. But one last thing for all of my panelists here is the last question is, what is the most important thing first-time home buyers need to remember while going through the process? What is your advice?
Nina, Stephen? Yeah, I'll take that one first. My advice for the home buying process, what you need to remember is it's going to be, if you're doing it with me from the ground up, Newmark Homes builder or whatever, I just see it as it's an emotional roller coaster. You're getting really high and excited, when you're purchasing and everything, and then you're going to have some falls that you get scared, just that, that little scared moment, and then all of a sudden you're breaking ground and I'm sending you pictures and showing you videos of what's going on. And then that excitement comes up again. And then, you get the loan going and everything, you get some, things, maybe you get a little bit scared again, but you just get excited and scared. And in the end, you end up at the top. You got your house, you got your keys, you're ready to move in.
And I guess to add to that, I guess the one thing just to remember, once again, continue to save, stay focused, make sure you know what's on your credit, that you're not making any major purchases throughout the process so that it's a smooth transition when we go to closing. Tammy, really quick, I want to go back to a question that I didn't cover or didn't answer that you covered. There are programs that if you do put 10% down, that private mortgage insurance can be waived. So I just wanted to, I didn't address that in your question when you said, what do you recommend?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
That's good.
Thank you.
All right.
I guess I'll end it with the most important thing first-time homebuyers remember is that it's a process. It's definitely a process. And if I haven't said it enough times already, I'll say this: get with somebody that knows what they're doing. Okay. That is the most important decision you're going to make, is getting with the right professional person that's going to help you with the lending, with the new construction, with the insurance, with the inspection, with every aspect of it. And if you don't have that in your corner, that's where I see people making mistakes. That's where I see people having some bad stories. Ultimately, you have the right professional with you. Things can go up and down, like Stephen said. Things can go right or wrong too. But if you have that person in your corner, you're going to get through it. And you're going to, at the end, you're going to be so happy that you went through this journey.
Absolutely agree. And I think, once you set your budget and you know what you're supposed to do, stick to it. Don't try to get too much to where you can't afford to do anything else and enjoy life as well. We don't want to just work to make our house payments.
Correct.
So, let's see. Do we have any questions out there that we did not answer yet? Nick, are you looking at that?
Somebody was asking what the perfect score was. And I think, Nina, you had mentioned a good credit score, and I guess they wanted a refresher on what that good credit score was.
To reiterate, 720 is a great, score to strive for. If you're 720 and above, you're going to get the best rate, which will, in essence, give you a lower mortgage payment. Okay. Especially if you need mortgage insurance also.
Okay.
You see the difference between Nina and myself? Nina said, hey, if you have the best score, you can get the best or the lowest mortgage payment. And I'm looking at it like, you get the best credit and the best score, that means more buying power on your house,
That's where the 6 months of building comes into play. We can work on that all the way through.
There you go.
The best score is going to be, what allows you and you feel comfortable with paying and purchasing. That's everyone's best score is going to be their own best score. You can always come back to Nina a few years later. Hey, I've been working on my credit, and Nina will be like, let's refinance.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think we have a couple more questions that came in through in Facebook because we have this on Facebook Live. So one is talking about, and is this a good time to buy or sell? I guess the current time frame right now.
Yes.
Okay, so Stephen, of course, works for Newmark Homes, and of course it is. And I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not, but this is where I also say that we have to know what your situation is, especially as a first-time home buyer. What is your true situation? Are you in an apartment paying $2,500 a month? Yes, it's a time to get out now and get into a house. I can get you into a beautiful, beautiful Newmark house in Siena for way less than that a month, and you have your own house for sure. Okay, but you have to know your situation. So I don't like that general statement of yes, it's a great time to buy and sell.
Right.
Same thing with sellers. I have sellers that come to me and say, hey, is this the right time to sell? Because all I hear is that, there's multiple offers on homes and things like that. Yeah, it's the right situation if that's what's good for you, but where are you going to go next? Are you looking for something else? Do we have the buying power for you to get into your new house or not? So I think I take that as a one-off, I take that one-on-one with each person. But ultimately, in this market that we're in, it is a great time to buy and sell for sure.
Okay. And then one of the questions that we didn't get to, but I actually kind of liked it on the little list that we had, is, and it's really for anyone, but what are some of the most common mistakes that you guys see first-time home buyers make?
I'll occasionally get that. Let's say I'll be their second home because they already made that mistake the first time. I'll get them with more of, oh my gosh, we rushed into it. We wish we did A, B, and C, and Newmark, I definitely do hold high as a higher quality builder, but there are some builders out there that, they just say, oh, I wish I didn't buy with A, B, or C first, and I'm looking at this. So I normally see that that's one of the things that they say, I as a first time home buyer, I wish I saw this first. I wish I had the opportunity to do this first.
The most common mistake I see for first-time homebuyers is they read everything on the internet, and or they ask their brother, sister, coworker, etc., and they take that as the right word, and that's not always the case. For example, one of the most, and Nina, I bet you she can attest to this. One of the most common misconceptions on people why they don't move forward is they think, oh, I have to have 20% down before I can purchase a house. That is probably the most common misconception out there. And so when you're reading things like that, or when you're hearing things like that from certain people, again, every situation is different. And that's why it is important to reach out to Nina and say, hey, Nina, I only have 5% or so to put down, or, whatever it is. Or, there's different loans types too, right? Whether it's FHA or VA. If you're a veteran, you don't have to put anything down, right? But it's not listening to the common misconceptions or listening to everybody else out there. Trust your professional, because the professionals are going to be the ones to be able to get you into things.
Absolutely.
They'll minimize a lot of those first-time home buyer mistakes if they get the right realtor. Hopefully they go talk to Remax Fine over there in Nimesh. They get the right loan officer, gearing them towards what's the best program out there for them. And then, of course, if it's a new home sale, get them with the right builder that's going to be as transparent as your real estate agent, who has your fiduciary responsibility in mind, and then going from there and knowing that they have that connection and bond together. Like, if Nimesh comes in here, what do you need?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another question that was asked on here, Nina, that probably you can help with is Debbie Drake mentioned that she heard on the news that there was a new credit scoring in place due to the pandemic. Have you heard of that?
I did briefly hear of that. However, that would not, it would play into our mortgage, but what I've seen, like the boost, sometimes it's a double-edged sword. It increases your score, but it also increases your liabilities on your credit report. So to be honest, I am not totally informed of what they're doing with the new scoring. But I'm pretty sure it's pretty similar to the Boost.
All right. Well, I wanted to go ahead and take this time to thank Tammy for moderating. Thanks Stephen, Nimesh, and Nina for joining us as panelists. And of course, thank Newmark Homes for their generosity in sponsoring this webinar. And I want to make everyone aware that's on our webinar that we have an upcoming event. The Chamber has an upcoming webinar. And on Wednesday, July 29th, Fort Bend ISD, a close-up outlook with Dr. Charles Dupree, part 2, from noon to 1 p.m. So if you're interested in joining any of the Chamber webinars, just look at their calendar at fortbendchamber.com for additional details. And then, of course, for this presentation, it's going to be available within 48 hours on the Chamber website under the Young Professionals Division tab and on YouTube. So thank you guys all for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. Had a lot of great insight, and I am ready to buy a house here soon. So
Thank you for having us, Nick. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody.
Bye.